playing TSM onto picks that just have a little bit less strength.
Oh, they secure Idris. Idris is actually the third best laner, I would say, after Vox and Baron is off the board. He's just extremely flexible, can be played CPU weapon, and one of the best weapon power laners right now in terms of his late game damage output. So now that leaves Grace for TSM, because I think they'll probably pick Grace, because Grace is melee, good against melee, and they'll ban the Lyra. And then Cloud9 will probably ban Grumpjaw, because Grumpjaw is really strong with Grace or Koshka. They can do Koshka or Grumpjaw here, but I think Cloud9 will most likely ban the Grumpjaw. They tend to ban Grumpjaw, but they can also ban Koshka because they can pick a Rhyme into a Grumpjaw. So like Rhyme would work into like a Grumpjaw Grace combination here.
See what the pick is going to be for TSM. They could always save the Grumpjaw potentially, but if you do that, you give the opportunity to Cloud9 to lock that one up if it passes over once again. So we'll see where TSM are likely to go with this one. Still quite a while on the pick, but they are going to go in for the Glaive.
Glaive is an interesting pick for them to go for. Obviously, you know, wanting something that can knock the Idris out of position. Kestrel and Catherine very quickly. Cloud9 knowing exactly what they want out of this pick.
Glaive is good because Glaive is can match up against Idris and fight him 1v1. And he's a warrior, has a lot of health, so Idris can't burst him down immediately. And then Kestrel just playing the range game here against TSM. So now they might pick an assassin potentially here to get onto that Kestrel. They need something to get onto that Kestrel, or they can pick someone that outranges the Kestrel, or pick Skye and just counter Cath. There's a lot of options TSM can take here. They're going to go with Adagio, wow. So they're going to go a jungle, Glaive, and Adagio, which is kind of risky, but let's see what's going to work out here.
Yeah, so Best Chuck saying, actually, are we saying jungle, Glaive, and lane Adagio?
Yes.
Okay, so Best Chuck definitely taking this one up against Old School, because this is kind of Old School's pick, right? This is what everyone knows Old School for, so Best Chuck definitely kind of taking this one too, and we'll see how that matchup is going to pan out for them. How are we feeling about the compositions, generally speaking, then? Do we feel like either team has an advantage, and what's the win conditions coming in here?
I gotta say, I really like the composition that Cloud9 has. I feel like the Idris is a very strong pick into the Adagio, and the Grace can counter it a bit, but as long as he really times his ultimates well, he's going to be able to block and ignore either the Holy Nova or the Verse of Judgment, depending on where in the fight they are at the time. And I'm really big on the Idris pick in general, and I think Old School is a great Idris player.
All right, so we've got one definitely in favor of C9. How are you feeling about this game?
I think TSM is probably going to win, because when Grace gets to late game and she has Echo on her ultimate, Glaive will just go in there, put someone out of position, and then they'll just delete that person. Gabe will probably carry with some Cath sciences, but I think Flash will be able to block that.
All right, we have a split desk on this one. I want to know whether we have a split audience as well. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Are you a Cloud9 fan? Are you a TSM fan? Are we going to see Cloud9 finally get back into these matches between the two powerhouses? It's time to find out as we jump into our second semi-final.
Thank you very much, guys. And TSM, the true titans right now, undefeated coming into this one. Even had a convincing game against Cloud9 last week. We'll see if they can repeat that performance.
And look at this, Best Chuck moving in with FlashX. FlashX incredibly aggressive. Wow, he's even gone to contract 2. Does have that stolen away by Gabe Bizzle though, so it's a little bit of a loss in their books. It looks like they're giving Von C his backs, and obviously Best Chuck just making that aggressive move into lane. Doesn't lose too much for it. A couple of minions, but not a huge amount. Don't even know if he lost one minion. I don't think Old School was able to push quick enough here. TSM get to the late game with this double heal composition, even through the Poison Shiv of Old School, which he will build in this Idris build, by the way. He's got that Book of Eulogies already. I feel like there's too much work for C9 to have to do. Do have I Love Joseph on the CP Kestrel though, can snowball very quickly, so we have to keep our eyes on that.
TSM trying to make a play already. They find the Catherine. Gabe Bizzle going very low. Have to use those boots and exiting on TSM's side of the jungle this time. Couldn't quite find anything else, any meaningful damage. Early game Adagio, not too hot on the damage front, but still getting the boots out of Gabe Bizzle is very important.
Yeah, again, stops his ability to just run in and do these kind of plays. Will get the stun onto Best Chuck, who already built up 4 stacks at this point in time. And, one of the major things for Catherine is, where she's played now, just build up stacks. Build up stacks as quickly as possible, because you can accelerate your defenses, you become a lot harder, and you can see Gabe as well, every time that stun's on cooldown, just looking for the opportunity to land some of those stuns. We will get punished potentially, but Best Chuck didn't want to commit with Flash X there. Felt comfortable enough just forcing him out of lane and then putting pressure on Old School. Looking forward to seeing FlashX play Grace. He's been one of the main proprietors of using Grace in very interesting ways, as Old School takes a lot of damage here.
Oh, another basic attack could have just finished him off, especially as he was burning away. TSM already forcing Old School underneath this turret, but it's kind of what we imagined anyway. Gabe Visual comes in with another stun on FlashX, but a Benediction will, you know, meet him more often than not, you can imagine. I love Joseph now rotating from that jungle. He's going to use the active camo, but TSM, more the wise.
Bonsi now moving through. We'll see that the forward healing trio is up here. Joseph is going to do his backs. Imagine Bonsi is just going to trade this one up nicely. Might even look for an invade onto the backs here. I love Joseph is a kind of revealed at this point, and Bonsi is going to jump in.
He's going to find him. He does find that afterburn. There's a lot of damage down to Joseph. Bonsi actually just tunneling him. He's actually going to chase him all the way around the Rosie he goes. Does find Gabe Visual. He's going to find the stun, but FlashX is going to come in. Isn't going to be able to spot I love Joseph. He is now, because he jumps straight out of active camo. A basic attack with FlashX. A Benediction is available to him. Just goes straight in. Secures first blood for TSM. That's going to be a big gold swing for them as they push in this turret as well.
Oh, and they're going to counter them.
Oh my goodness, Old School didn't stand a chance. FlashX with a double kill.
Vonsi has been so decisive in these fights. Throughout all of the games I've seen TSM play, Vonsi has been playing on another level for this team. You know, everybody from TSM performs incredibly, but Vonsi has been on aggressive, early game junglers. He has been decisive. He's been instantaneous with his ganks, and you know, he's really embodied that saying that he is, you know, sort of encaptured in terms of his fan base, that no fear, just fight. He does it the same thing here, puts pressure onto I Love Joseph in the jungle, knowing that if he catches and keeps on to a CP Kestrel, it's very difficult for her to trade and escape. She wants to use those active camos, but you have a wind-up time when you take damage. It only gets reduced if you build the weapon power build path. With CP, you still need that wind-up time, so you can stick to a CP Kestrel. It's very easy to put pressure on her, and especially in the early jungle, Vonsi found his opportunity and took it.
Yeah, 2 kills on FlashX though. Not the person you want him on, but hey, still 2 kills nonetheless. I did see the Elder Treant die and was like, huh, why is it dying now? But then realised the jungle was intensified. My brain just had a mini fart, but hey, Old School's actually going to have to get out lane very quickly. Gabe Visual popping those boots again. TSM going very aggressive. Bonsi wanting to make these plays time and time again. Afterburn on cooldown, I'm going in.
Absolutely, with no fountain just being used by Gabe Visual as well. Prime opportunity to find another afterburn gank now that it's up, and he's going to do it.
Oh, see, on cooldown time and time again, wants to go in. Old School burning away. Gets meeten by Best Chuck and A's auto attack, and will take him down. And now they're trying to force I Love Joseph out his jungle, taking that healing camp away again. Not sure he's even had won this game.
Goodness me, this is classic TSM in a nutshell. Huge pressure in the early game. That double heal as well, eventually going to come online once FlashX hits level 6. And Vonsi has been the proprietor of every TSM move. Every time they want to fight, he is there, ready to afterburn, ready to isolate a target. And those targets are so easy to take down because it's so easy to deliver a squishy target like Idris or CP Kestrel and immediately Gift of Fire onto that target. It makes it hard for CP Kestrel to escape. And then the big hitting basic attacks from Agent of Wrath also afterburn them into a Holy Nova as well from FlashX. So many ways to lock up these very, very squishy targets.
Oh, speaking of FlashX, goes in very aggressive, and Best Chuck was following him up on that damage, but was met by Gabe Visual. Merciless Pursuit did land. He has got the healing for himself, so we'll be able to just use that to make sure he's nice and safe from a turret dive. But he's going to actually have to go back here and refill his HP up to make sure that he does get to lane nice and healthy. Bonsi took a little bit as well, but they are more than happy just to clear out this wave. And now you can see C9 maybe looking to take away these fronts, and in fact deciding against that completely. Haven't touched TSM's jungle at all, which has been complete contrast of what TSM's done, just forcing Joseph to only have those back 2 counts.
Major item spike picked up by Old School has unlocked his divergent paths. The earlier you do that, the better on Idris. Also means he can escape those afterburn ganks instantaneously. If he becomes the target, he just uses his A, jumps out of there. It's an instantaneous blink now, so you can get past that afterburn. He is now an easier target for C9 to protect. Has the ability to escape from those afterburn ganks. And if I Love Joseph positions correctly, he shouldn't really be in a position where he's going to be easily afterburnable. And if he is set up those active camo traps as well, Vonsi might find it difficult to isolate the targets that he wants to from now on. We've hit a point in the game where, you know, Kestrel's a bit safer. Old School's hit those divergent paths, so he's become a bit safer. He's working towards the Poison Shiv as well, which will be a huge way to shut down post-6 FlashX and the healing coming out from Best Chuck.
Going to be very beneficial to his build path. gonna have a little bit of damage, and sustain in there as well is quite important. He has got that Sorrow Blade, but Joseph did rotate down to the shop a minute ago. He's picked up that Shatter Glass, so wanting to go that full burst CP Kestrel.
Something that I really want to touch on here is that despite, C9 arguably being behind, Gabe Bizzle is still ahead in levels. He's shared experience with Joseph. He's got to a really key level of level 6, meaning that they have the ability to disengage with silence. They have the ability to turn these fights with silence. Yes, I know Joseph is a little behind Von C, but again, it's just a credit to the way that C9 share experience in the jungle, hit those item spikes as a unit, as FlashX does tank up that one-shot, one-kill, but not doing a huge amount of damage to someone who's got a lot of health and a bit of shielding behind him.
Yeah, Gabe Bizzle finds another Merciless Pursuit. Best Chakane has got alternating current now, so being able to auto-attack Gabe Bizzle down is fairly important to the winning conditions of this team fight, composition. FlashX going in once more. They do find the stun on him. Here comes Von C though, driving him straight into the back line. Fountain on C9 is going to help him stay alive for a moment, but Old School just goes down instead as Agent of Wrath basic attack just pummeling him into the ground. FlashX chasing away Joseph now. TSM looking towards this first tier turret. Might just take it out as well.
Again, it looks like FlashX was trying to zone out Joseph there. Now it's a good opportunity to put pressure onto this tier 1. Joseph will come through. He will be able to clear waves quite nicely. And Von C is going to have to back out here after drawing the aggro from the turret. I think a couple of the splash damage hits on turret did proc onto Gabe Bizzle, drawing that turret aggro to him. Good defense by C9 in that situation, given the fact that Old School did burn pretty much everything to survive there, yet was still taken out. And you also saw how good Gift of Fire is against the Kestrel. Once the burning is applying, it's difficult for her to slip into the active camo. So if you land the Gift of Fire onto Kestrel, you can easily chase her down while that is burning. Really good area for TSM to look to put pressure on in these team fights, because if they can get that onto Joseph, he becomes a very good target for TSM to focus down, because you don't traditionally build defense as a Kestrel, which means you're very easily bursted by this sort of item spike that Best Chakane picked up, and the fact that Von C is going to be hitting his poison shift pretty soon too.
Got one kill, is going to find Best Chak. That's a lot of damage, but he is going to heal that up quite nicely. In fact, FlashX decides, Divine Intervention isn't too much of a big cooldown, so we're actually going to use that on you right now and heal you up for this next engagement. Now Gabe Bizzle, like you mentioned a minute ago, was ahead on levels, but level 6, level 7's even coming in through FlashX now, does have the ultimate, and everybody's kind of fully online now. Von C now finding once more Old School jumps straight onto Best Chuck though. He just goes down instantly, and in fact, this is Cloud9's fight to win. FlashX though dashing forward will be able to find the last basic attack onto Old School to take him out. So 1-for-1 trade thus far. Both laners falling here for C9 and TSM. A nice edge right now, but C9, they finally find their first kill.
They need to be super careful now Poison Shiv has been finished by Old School, because it does mean that Best Chakane has become far more vulnerable in these team fights. His own healing and the healing of FlashX will be reduced through those grievous wounds, so they need to be very careful about how they approach now. Best Chakane also, he's going to be suspect to hit from glimmer shots. He will be taken pretty low, and that's why he's gone towards picking up some armor and a reflex box just to give him that extra element of defense. Would like to see him think about shielding soon. Looks like either Joseph is maybe working towards a second Shatterglass here, so he's going to go down a double Shatterglass, I feel, which means he's probably working towards just blowing up Best Chuck when he gets the opportunity, as well as the fact that it doesn't look like Von C has prioritized too much shielding either.
Yeah, he's actually prioritized a little bit more damage in his own Poison Shiv. Now they do find Gabe Bizzle. That Mortal Wound is going to be extremely important to apply, like you mentioned, but they're going to jump straight onto Joseph once more. Does end up kiting back, but TSM seem undeterred. Now Gabe Bizzle's in the front line. Merciless Pursuit to stun him up. Now Best Chuck is in a lot of trouble here as Old School jumps on him as well. Burst of Judgment's going to come down, but it's not going to get finished up the channel. Old School, Gold School comes up with a double kill, and now FlashX is going to have to use those boosts to get away. They're still trying to chase him up though. Those glimmer shots just sending him away.
Synergy was not quite there with TSM. Von C Community didn't get the Gift of Fire applied to the Kestrel. She slipped into the active camo, and then TSM put themselves into a choke point by choice. And it was a perfect time for Old School to move in and make the flank. Didn't even use the ultimate either. Was able to get those mortal wounds onto Best Chuck, finish him off, and Best Chuck used that last-ditch attempt of channeling his virtue of judgment. Didn't land it because he got taken down so quickly. Got to be careful about how you approach these fights and your target selection for TSM. Yes, Idris is not a key target anymore. You can't lock him down previously like you could, because he's got now his ultimate, and obviously with those upgraded days, they're going to be very careful. Whoa, FlashX.
Oh, hang on a minute. FlashX in the front line. Now he's trapped against 3 members of C9. Ends up falling. They go into that choke point once again, Excalibur, and TSM, they pay for it.
Didn't have any of their cooldowns up. I think FlashX actually had found him, but must have realized that he was dead regardless, and that's going to give Goldmine over to C9. And suddenly C9 are finding resurgence. They have not had this kind of game against TSM since the Unified Live Championships. And they are finally finding their feet here in the North American VG8. And if they can take out TSM, that would even be considered an upset. Even despite their performances in the Unified Live Championships, TSM have been dominant beyond reproach in the North American VG8. If C9 can find this win, it would be huge for them. Huge for them and their confidence as well, going towards the end of this split.
Undefeated thus far. Maybe C9 will hand them their first defeat right here, right now. Okay, Vizzle has had quite a game as well. FlashX actually finding him though. Holy Nova is actually going to get cancelled completely. Having to channel a little bit later there. One shot, one kill, goes a little bit wide. Okay, Vizzle looking maybe for an entrance here with the ultimate. Did actually use it a second ago, and that's what was blocked actually. FlashX doing a good job of that. Benediction is going to be able to save Best Chuck. Got a little bit confused there, but there comes the Versal Judgment. Old School straight on the backline once more. Fountain is going to heal him up, and Best Chuck almost survived that engagement entirely, but letting Joseph go into slip space, letting him go into that stealth is not what TSM want to do. They end up finding him, and Avonsi, after cleaning up, gave Vizzle and Old School. They aren't going to be able to find him. They aren't going to be able to find any meaningful damage onto this turret. Joseph very, very low. In fact, FlashX might just solo him out here. Double Shatterglass doesn't really seem to care. In fact, he's just going to take him out with a Benediction.
Grace just soloed out Joseph.
TSM funny, yes.
And FlashX channeling the heal onto himself there. They're going to get another turret from this. That was nice. They got the gift of fire onto Joseph. They forced him to far out the fight. Best Chuck and A did land an impactful burst of judgment. And Old School was then the target after they turned onto Joseph, but that was nicer from TSM, more coordinated. They wanted to apply the gift of fire to Joseph because it forces him out. It makes him feel awkward about taking more aggressive positions. And Old School didn't quite get the burst damage out necessary to blow Best Chuck and A up. The longer the Best Chuck and A survives in these fights for TSM, the better it is for TSM. I know that speaks for itself, but it realistically is. You know, he needs to be surviving for as long as possible, at least until they've taken out one member of C9. Give credit to Vonsi where Vonsi's credit is due, though. Everyone is heavily itemized into this shielding now because of the double Shatterglass build from Joseph. You can see Aegis finished, Aegis almost there for Best Chuck, who's sitting on 2,500 gold, by the way. Probably working towards a broken myth after this, you would imagine. Usually the generic item spike after an alternating current is a broken myth, but I think because, you know, it's such a squishy target that builds no defense in the form of Joseph, it's better to have that flat burst damage coming out. Makes your Agent of Wrath better as well, which if you can get that onto Von C when he's next to the Kestrel, it's a pretty good situation to be in.
Well, FlashX is in a pretty good situation right now. That's got the Echo to his name. Did recently purchase that, as well as an infusion. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of healing coming out from him. But again, more importantly for Old School to apply these mortal wounds, Best Chuck is going to come up to the lane here, maybe just to meet it, in order for them to get the vision using those minions. However, TSM have got other ideas. Well, the rest of TSM have got other ideas. Hanging around that tri-bush, but Cloud9 are going to get spotted on that scout trap. So they're just going to swap places, it seems. They're just going to go back to the lane. They're going to go back to their jungle. One shot, one kill, just to scout out anybody from Isle of Joseph. 2 Shatterglass online. I mean, he's looking ready to go. He's even got a clockwork.
Despite the outcome of this series, this has been a great display of 2 of the most proficient North American teams that we have in the Vainglory 8. This is the kind of level of competition you expect between 2 closely respected and fiercely respected opponents. C9 have that big front line, 31 stacks on Gabe Bizzle right now. Have to be careful about the way that you approach him in these fights. He's got Null Wave Gauntlet 2. If he can lock down FlashX in these fights, that's a great position. And FlashX has not yet thought about prioritizing Reflex Block. Has got an Echo. We have seen that from the Graces in the past. I think specifically we've seen it a couple of times over yesterday in the North American VJ. Whoa.
Joseph, hang on a second, Bonsi. You've smelled the rat and he is going to go down. There comes the burst of judgment as well. It's going to almost obliterate Old School. Vonsi ends up finishing him off. I mean, he was just waiting there for Joseph to come out of stealth. Like a little scaredy mouse, ends up going down, and that will be a Kraken going over to TSM.
FlashX didn't even need to use his Echo that fight. He's going to get the heal off cooldown again. He can channel that onto Best Chuck. Looks like that's where they'll go eventually. But this is going to be an easy Kraken going over to TSM here. What a fight. Again, Von C being the proprietor. The silence does come out in an attempted steal, but doesn't land for Gabe Vizzle. That's a 50-second cooldown TSM can look to exploit as they push in towards the base now. They'll have a very limited time window to use this with now. But the Echo's still there for FlashX. It's a double heal once he hits level 12, which, admittedly, he is now level 12. So now he's got 3 points in the ultimate. That is huge for them. Not only is the ultimate on a short cooldown regardless, he can use it twice. He could probably get it off even 3 times in a fight. Keep your eyes on FlashX, ladies and gentlemen.
So looking good for TSM. Even though the Goldie doesn't really speak it, Joseph doing a fair bit of work to this Kraken now. Is going to be able to make mincemeat of it. It eventually falls down. Still knocking away at their doors. Joseph maybe needs to back up just a little bit here because Von C is just going to come flying in. Old School is going to have to back off now just because that massive burst of judgment is going to execute that turret. Gabe Vizzle going in once more. Best Chug is completely left alone here. Just do 3 DPS on the back line. FlashX is going to heal up Von C as well using that ultimate. Gabe Vizzle now on the run.
Oh, he misses the opportunity.
Oh no, he just gets out alive. Joseph though, triple stun using that active camo. Look at Old School now in amongst the 3 members of TSM. Once more, Joseph, this could be his time to shine, but he just gets cut down in front of your very eyes.
Oh my god. Look at the health bars on TSM. That was an insane area where Joseph almost won it for C9, but the damage was not quite there. He's got to burn through double Aegis. He's got no piercing yet. That was just flat CP damage. And you know what flat CP damage is really bad against? High volumes of shielding. Each of these members of TSM with Aegis will be sitting at roughly 215 or so shielding. That cuts CP damage by over 66%. Those Shattered Glasses will not be having the same effect that you would have had by having a Broken Myth, but again, Joseph might be finding it difficult to land those and build those Broken Myth stacks right now, but that was the prime opportunity for Joseph to make a massive turnaround play, but the damage because of the double Shattered Glass and the shielding that he's facing wasn't enough. But a triple man Kestrel active camo stun is not a kind of opportunity that you're going to get often against TSM.
Exactly that, and I would definitely agree. You could argue a Broken Myth rather than a Shatterglass right here would be more effective. And the amount of time he was actually in the engagement with TSM, you can imagine he'd have built up a fair few stacks, maybe 5, 6 of them. He would have probably found himself a triple kill, in all honesty, but that is all in hindsight, of course. Now TSM, firm control of C9. Again, the gold hasn't really spoken. The normal numbers you can kind of see with a lot of teams in the VG8. TSM and Cloud9 so close. The pinnacle of Vainglory in North America, you've got to say. I'm even looking back to the Unified Championships, just so dominant in their performance against each other and everybody else.
Active camo has been set up here. I don't think TSM are going to fall for this. Piercing didn't come up with Joseph. Joseph just gone for more flat CP. I would have much preferred a piercing shard, I feel, for him as that item in the last slot, unless he's not choosing to go for a Broken Myth. The amount of sustain that TSM have was insane that fight. FlashX to be able to stun this up.
Benediction straight on to Old School. Von C taking a lot of damage though. There comes the blast drum and silence everybody up. They're just going to focus out Best Chuck here. They need to be able to get him out of the fight. But Old School just cannot find the finishing blow. Kraken's going to get started up. Once again, that divine intervention comes through from FlashX, saving Best Chuck's life. But Von C, it wasn't enough for him to survive. That'll be 1 kill for C9 now. That Kraken's still on the board available to him, and 38 seconds on Von C's clock.
TSM should be able to protect this though. A couple of cooldowns are down for C9. They are going to go for it. Idris takes these Krakens incredibly quickly. You saw how quickly he chunked through it as they were defending. But they do have to be careful about a TSM steal here. His Verse of Judgment is there. He can go for a very edge Verse of Judgment. I think Gabe will try and stun this one out, but it's going to get secured.
Yeah, 1 shot, 1 kill is going to find that secure. FlashX now on the front line. Did try and go for a Benediction secure, but... or steal, I should say. Didn't quite find it. And now that Kraken is marching, going to be marching down the lane for C9 very shortly. Good, again, all turn on its head. TSM whimpering a little bit now, but still in fighting form. Von C has just been in those front lines, but just cannot make the damage happen on the back.
I really like Old School's gone for the breaking point here as well, realizing that building the breaking point stacks over the course of a sustained fight that TSM are bringing to the table is very important. That's a big hit.
Big onto Joseph, straight on top of him. He becomes the Holy Nova, just stunning him up, locking him down for absolute days. Oh my goodness, TSM, or just Von C finding these fights where they matter. That Kraken is going to get mean work and just beaten out of it, but it is going to be able to take down at least one turret.
What a play by Vonsi, single-handedly keeping TSM in the running here again, isolating Joseph immediately in the fight. And Joseph, of which is still not picked up a piercing shard, having to invest his gold so heavily into the infusions now, especially at this stage in the game. It's going to be hard for him to finish another item, you feel, before this game's over. This is the pinnacle of his damage. Admittedly, it's a lot of CP, double Shatterglass and Clockwork, with the Clockwork increase to your CP overall. Item silences seem to have been pretty effective against FlashX, though. You feel that he would want to pick up somewhere in his kit a reflex block, or just think about crucibling the item silence in the first place.
Visual coming in with another stun on to Von C. They need to find the back line here. They do take out the Crystal Sentry. FlashX's taking a lot of damage. That one shot, one kill is just going to finish him off, and Old School's going to jump in. Best Juggernaut A health bar just completely disintegrates. Von C trying to escape with the afterburn over the wall, but Cloud9, they know exactly where he is. They want to be able to find this ace. Old School is just going to come up and meet the lane, maybe. In fact, he's actually just going to go recall here. Von C still determined to stay alive. You're not going to be able to stay alive for 40 seconds, though. Not when Old School has backed. He wants to find that kill. They need to be able to kill him to get this ace buff, but how long that will take, that's a lot of time wasted in the lane.
But killing Von C has allowed them to buy time and to ensure they have some form of defense if C9 push their base. I think FlashX is now disrespecting this breaking point on the Idris as well. He got 16 breaking point stacks. I think he might have even got more in that fight. And that, against the double sustain composition compared to the tension bow build, is far better for this Idris, because he just hits harder and harder as the fight goes on. And you expect long, elongated fights against an Echo Grace and Best Juggernaut having the heal with the Adagio as well. Looks like, oh yeah, finally, FlashX has picked up a reflex block because these item silences have been killing him in these fights. He needs to reflex block it. I think it's even more important than having those flares on board. Has the contraption for emergency flares in the middle of a fight if he needs it. Bonsi should be up now. This could be a big fight around the Kraken. It will go down so quickly if TSM don't respond, though. Do have to be wary of how quickly an Idris and Joseph on this Kestra will get through the Kraken.
Kraken dance is about to commence. See what Cloud9, if they want to go for this big engage. They do have that blast tremor to get on the back line as TSM. But Von C has just done a fantastic job thus far. It's going to be a big stun actually onto Best Juggernaut. Uses those boots to get away. One shot, one kill will find Von C. Once again, they are able to just disengage here. That a chip on their shoulder, really. They are chunked out, but Cloud9 actually going to respond here with a Kraken start.
Oh, that's going down very quickly. TSM, they might not be able to get there in time. It is so quick. They're going to go straight up for a 3 versus 3 around the Kraken.
Well, actually, just let the Kraken, just wander around a little bit. Cloud9 going for another engage. FlashX is going to get found out. Here's Von C, though, looking for an opening, looking for an in. Can he find it? Not sure he can. Old School once again jumping on him. Just goes dashes straight.
Oh no, they isolated Best Chuck.
Oh, Best Chuck completely isolated, but that massive Divine Intervention will heal him up nice and safely. Again, another Divine Intervention from the Echo is going to heal Von C. Now they're going to jump to the back.
What a play!
It's going to go down. Best Chuck just raining down damage, and Von C, the hero for TSM, is going to find 2, and now it's up to Gabe Vizzle to defend.
That was an insane play by FlashX, just timing those Divine Interventions so well, keeping both of his members alive. I don't know if it was a bait. I think Best Chuck genuinely was out of position, but the recovery from TSM was so good. That's the ace. That's the game for TSM. The late game fighting still proving that they are the best in North America. What a way to open up the series between TSM and C9.
Cannot believe it. TSM on what seemed like a surefire win at the beginning of the game, and then Cloud9 slowly inching their way back in. But TSM, they are the #1 for a reason. Not defeated just yet. We'll see if they can carry that trend on. What a fantastically well played game. This is the pinnacle of League of Legends. Vainglory. It's been a long day. It's been a pinnacle of Vainglory in North America for just this reason.
Don't worry, buddy. I understand.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
Oh, yes, it has.
But yeah, I think, let's be honest here. This was all facilitated right at the end there by FlashX. I think he might have even been far enough away to prevent the item silence from Gabe Vizzle. But, I mean, fantastic play from TSM. The sustain comp coming out true in the end.